Hey everyone, I'm here to show you guys my Pathfinder map that I have made in D&D. I've been playing Pathfinder for a little while, and I was wanting to DM a campaign, and I had an idea in my head, and I played Minecraft for quite a while, so I thought it'd be a really fun way to kind of make it a visual representation of what's going on in the world, where enemies are, and just kind of a fun way to play. And all my friends had Minecraft, and I love to build, so it was a really fun, easy thing to do. And basically, this is where we start. Everyone spawned in here, and at level 1, they spawned down here. It's kind of like a throwback to Morrowind, and they came up here, and they got off the ship and went to their first town. And this town, it looks pretty small. There's only a few buildings, and the way I did it was in certain areas where there's not a lot of interaction with NPCs and they're not really big. I didn't put a lot of effort into them because they were here for about 10 minutes, kind of talking to some people, getting a gist of what was going on, and then they left. And there's more buildings here, and there's like other boats at sea, and I just kind of told them that, and they can imagine it because when you're playing Pathfinder or D&D, you really got to use your imagination anyway. So it was pretty easy for me just to fill in the blanks there. So we started out, and my friends were throwing chickens everywhere. It was great. But they got a horse, and they were going to the city. And I'm not going to go too much into the campaign aspects because there's a lot of it. But basically, there's a lot of evil things going on this island that was kind of peaceful at one point, and they have to figure out what's going on. So as you see, this was the first thing my players saw that I built, and I wanted to really make an impact because this was this is the keep out all the invaders. It's the gate to the kingdom, and so I put a lot of effort into this, and I thought it turned out really nice, and all my friends liked it quite a bit. So, and as we fly over here, you can see the beginnings of the town, and there's a bunch of houses. Down there's a tavern, and there's like a guard post. And then I had the marketplace where everyone went to buy their items, and there's a blacksmith over there. And it was a lot of fun. And over here is like a school, and there's a arena here, which we have not got to yet because it's kind of a higher level thing, but eventually they'll go here and get earn some sweet loot through the arena and some experience. So, and I've done all of this by hand without a world edit, just me in creative by myself basically. Although one of my friends did help me make the school over there, and that building over there, and this graveyard here. But everything else, I did. And this is the mayor's building, and this is a temple to one of their gods that they made. Well, I made, but the NPCs made it, And there's quite a bit of stuff that goes on here. And then the very first encounter that our party had was over here. This island is pretty new. Like, they haven't been here very long. It's freshly discovered. So there's a lot of abundant resources here. And they actually hired some dwarves to, like, mine for gold. And this is, like, the little work camp. And in the middle of the party, they were at the temple. They heard that the dwarves were being attacked by undead. So they came down here into the mines. And I, just dug all this out. And down here, they just started to see tons of dwarven bodies and all sorts of stuff. And right here, they got ambushed by some ghouls. And it's pretty fun. And the way we do combat is each block is a 5-foot step, or a radius of 5 feet. So, you can 5-foot step from here to here. And it's just a pretty fun way to visualize everything. Then in here, and we used the little zombie heads to represent where the monsters were and where they were facing and stuff. And here they fought 2 Draugr that did some good damage to them. And then it goes on, and there's nothing really back there. But in here, they found this tomb that the dwarves they dug into it, and it's this ancient tomb. And there's some crypts here, and they fought a bunch of skeletons. And there was a skeleton champion that popped out of here that they had to fight. It's a pretty awesome battle. But let me go out here. And we've only done one session so far. In our second session, all the dwarves are hurt from the fighting. There's a lot of dead dwarves, and they need help. So what they need to do is they need to go into the swamp, and they have to gather herbs and just stuff like that. It's not really important what they're gathering. It's more of a tool to get them to go out there, because a normal Pathfinder, when you're DMing, you just kind of write down. It's like you can pencil in a town or a forest in like 10 minutes, but I had to create everything, so I want them to go to the areas where I've worked. So there's like a witch hut there, and then over here there's like this nice little grove area I made, and they're gonna get into a fight with an elf and a gnome here. That should be pretty good, and they're basically crazy religious people, and they want to sacrifice them to their nature god. And then there's all sorts of stuff that I've put quite a bit of work into. And I mean, there's so much stuff over here. There's a anthill. You got to go down here, and I'm gonna go down here because there's a ton of tunnels. Well, I'll show you a little bit, but I basically just took TNT and just went ham. And there's tons of tunnels, and they'll be able to fight a bunch of ants. So that should be pretty good. And then there's like a nice little fishing village here, and over here's a little military camp that's kind of out off by themselves, and that's going to be pretty fun. They're called the Rangers. And so I wanted to really populate this world with a lot of places for them to go. I didn't want them to feel like just because they didn't see anything immediately in front of them as far as what I built, that there wasn't anything there, because that's really far out in the middle of nowhere, and they can go there and get a lot of quests and do quite a bit of cool stuff. So that was pretty important to me, especially like I said, with the visual medium. It's a lot less of them exploring, because it's kind of weird with Minecraft. They just kind of see stuff and they want to go towards it, so you kind of have to remind them that they're still in D&D, and this is not like how big the world is. Like the gap from this area, this hub, to this hub, it's only like, it's like 50 blocks, but it would take them like 2 hours to get there on horseback. So you kind of have to remind them of that, and then once they get that, in their heads and like understand it, it kind of flows a lot easier. And this area is called Stone Hill, and this is like a new area that they've been like trying to turn into like a farming land and stuff like that. I was really inspired by Half Hill in World of Warcraft. And there's like a great tree here, and they're gonna fight some dryads, or they don't have to fight them. They could RP their way out of it, and basically the dryads are mad because, as you can see, the humans and dwarves have been cutting down all the trees. And then, so I've got this and that town over there, and then the other stuff I showed you guys. And now I will show you guys the capital city that I've made. And I'm still adding on to this, every day. I like to come onto the server and build for about an hour or so. Just add stuff, I get an idea. There's a dungeon over there, which I have not completed yet, but that should be pretty fun. Here is a gate, obviously, and it leads to the super rich district. This is where, like, a lot of the nobles live, and they're really safe up here, and they've got like really big houses. And one thing I did was, I did not fill in any of the insides. I basically just made the skeletons, and that was just what I did. I'm not gonna spend time decorating every house, because this has taken a very long time. So, and there's a bridge, and this leads to the where the king lives. And there's a lot here, so I'll explain everything. This is the king's estate, and I try to make it as royal and fancy as possible. And yet again, there's a bunch of floors with nothing in it, but hey, they're role players, so they'll be able to use their imagination. Then up here, there's a little simple wizard tower I made. They'll get some cool stuff from him. Now, to explain some of the other stuff, this I made is a beacon that their god actually crafted for them to keep evil out. And but some evil is still on the island trying to penetrate its way in, and it wants to destroy the god, and this beacon is a big part of that. So yeah, that's a very important piece. Here is another blacksmith and just some shops. I wanted to add just a bunch of buildings just to make it seem like it's really a lived in place. There's all sorts of stuff in here. And now this is one of my favorite areas I made under this bridge. It's the slums. And there's a lot of, poor housing in here. There's tons of houses all like packed together, and it's, people will stab you if they see you wearing any sort of jewelry and take it. It's just not a good place to live. And the slums are right next to the prison. And I just kind of threw this up pretty quickly just because I needed to, I needed to fill in some space, so I added a lot of stuff. And this is another shrine to their god. And this actually has a huge deal on the campaign because what they can do is they can walk along this path of the gray, and if their perception check is high enough, they'll actually get thoughts from the god. And eventually, there's this portal here, and I kind of got the idea from Stargate, and they'll actually go in there, and they'll have some interactions with the god, and they'll be able to get some experience or some items, or it kind of depends on how they play it. So this place was really fun to build. Over here is these are like the 4 wealthiest houses. They're like really nice. A lot of rich people live here. This is a theater I made. You get to sit up here and watch a play. And a lot of these buildings don't really have any significant meaning. It's just, you want to take up space because when you're using this as a visual medium, it wants to, you really need to make it look good. So this is just a little clerk's office, like where people go to get like a building deed or whatever that boring crap would be. And then up here is the library I made. This was a pretty fun building. It was hard to make. The shape was kind of irritating, but it's fun. There's tons of books in here and all sorts of stuff. And then I'll go to the last area. And also, I want to apologize for my commentation. I have never made a YouTube video before. I'm awful at it. So, yeah, I guess you get what you get. But I've had a lot of fun working on this. It's taken quite a while, but all my friends really seem to enjoy it, and I like it, and I want to make something even bigger next time. So, like I said, I'm always adding, so who knows how big it'll get before it ends. And over here is where a lot of the end game will be. This place is called the City of the Dead, and in the lore of my world I made, this is where the people used to live, and then there was a kind of like a Silent Hill-esque accident, and the whole city got wiped out. And as you can see down here, there's like the ruins of all the buildings and the ruins of the wall, and they used to have a sacred forest there. But now it's just completely dead here. There's only skeletons and zombies, and no one ever comes here anymore. You can see the road leading into it. And then up here, there used to be an old church here where they used to worship their god. However, the church exploded, and the main bad guy, he's called the Necromancer, and he has been trying to penetrate the barrier that the god set up, the beacon, to ward out evil, because basically in the lore of the story, his son gets killed by the people, and he signs a deal with a demon god to try to destroy the island. And basically, he becomes a conduit for him in the story, and he's just trying to do all sorts of evil stuff. And basically, the demon, he is worshipped by the Dark Elves. I can't remember their name, the Dro or whatever they're called. But they want to invade, and the only thing stopping them from invading is that beacon. So there's going to be an actual moment where the heroes can either choose to be on the evil side or the good side. But I guess evil is just a point of view. And it's going to be really fun because they're going to drink demon blood if they go evil, or they're going to get gifts from the god of the island if they stay on the good side. And if they go evil, they're going to get like body modifications. Like my friend, he's a barbarian. He's going to grow an extra set of arms, and he'll be able to hold weapons that are going to be bigger. And one of my friends, he's an aberrant sorcerer, so I'm actually going to have him have like 2 heads, and he can like spew acid, and he'll have acid sacs. And one of my other friends, he is an alchemist, and I'm going to make it so he can like drink like ingredients or whatever, and his stomach will actually like brew it like a cauldron. He can like projectile shoot, like acidy sprays or potions or whatever out people, or he can like barf them up, into his vials. And this is the Cathedral of Evil, as I've named it. Very like 1980s wrestling feel. And in here they're going to fight a boss named Tyrannus, who is a dark elf that is being possessed by the demon. The demon is actually named Tyrannus, and he's a demon god. Like, he is who the Necromancer prayed to, and he's not able to come to this earthly plane, so he basically inhabits the dark elf, and he's a fighter. He's like level 14 or something. He has a huge greatsword, and it'll be really fun to play him. And this is his throne he sits at, and then the party's going to come in here and fight. then after, they should get beat by him pretty badly, because that's the way it's gonna, RP go. And then he'll offer them the choice where you can either, be on his side or help the island. So yep, that's everything I've worked on. And there's a lot more up here that I haven't added. Like I need to add a slaughterhouse and just like a barracks for the dark elves and stuff like that. And yet again, I apologize for my horrible commentation and awful grasp of the English language. But hopefully you guys liked what I built and you think it's pretty cool. And oh yeah, and to explain this is basically how Tyrannus, the demon god, is connecting to the dark elf. Like they had to build this to like funnel his I don't know, his spirit, I guess is what you would say, into the dark elf. So that's kind of the story behind that. And they're also going to use this to, once the beacon gets taken out by the heroes, if they choose that path, that's how the night elf or the dark elf army will like spawn into this world and try to conquer everything. So if you like it, please like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. If you have any suggestions on cool stuff I could build, I'm always open to that. And yeah, thanks for watching.